Welcome back to Tarot and Beyond. Today's reading was actually inspired by a Led Zeppelin song that I enjoy, and the line is, "There are two paths you can go down, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on." So the idea for this reading is exploring two different paths that are available to you in your life. They're not necessarily good or bad, higher or lower, right or wrong. They're simply different options for you to explore with your free will and choice. So we're going to be looking at what those two options are and what possibly the outcomes of those pathways could be. So we've got one deck that we'll be using for these readings. So simply select one of the three cards that we're about to pull and then use the timestamps as usual to jump ahead to your chosen reading or readings. So for group one, I'm seeing this card, and we will reveal them in the readings, group 2 and group 3 here. So go ahead and use the timestamps, and we'll see you in your reading. All right, hi group number 1, welcome to your Two Paths reading. So we've got your first card here. I'm also going to get a second card as that second option. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the first card you have here is the Knight of Swords, and the second card is the Six of Swords. Interesting that they're both swords cards, so these two paths are not entirely dissimilar. There's a lot of similar, there's a lot of, almost feels like connection between them, even though they're separate. So I'm going to pull 3 cards for each. Okay, so let's get a little deeper into each particular pathway. So with the Knight of Swords, we have the 4 of Coins, the 3 of Cups, the King of Cups as well. So in option number 1, or path number 1 for you, group number 1, we have an option here for you to take action and move forward on a project that you have been kind of keeping behind closed doors, is what I'm seeing. You've been keeping it walled off or boundaried in some way, and this pathway is giving you the option to open up about it, to actually speak on it, because you've been keeping it maybe from other people. You've been keeping it private, you've been keeping it secret. Maybe you haven't felt like it was ready to share yet, or that people may not support you, or that they're not ready for it, or you feel like you're not ready to share it. Whatever it is, this one particular path is helping you or urging you in this way, supporting you, I should say, to share whatever it is that you've been working on. Now, I can see that it has a lot of emotional backing to it. So whatever this project is, or whatever this idea is, it does have a lot of emotional content in it, or it's very emotional to you, or you're very connected or attached to it. And I think that's maybe why there's been some resistance to sharing it, or there's been hesitation, or even procrastination. But what they're saying is that you've been building this, you've been working on this behind the scenes for a long time, and it's going to be something that is going to do well. It's going to be successful. People are going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. And it's going to bring you a lot of personal and public satisfaction. So I really see that this particular path is helping to encourage you, or like I said, support you in communicating, expressing, or being very clear and truthful about what's been going on behind the scenes, what's been going on behind closed doors, or what you've been keeping more private. Now, in option number 2, or path number 2, we have the 6 of Swords, and then we also have for you the 10 of Coins reversed. Interesting. Okay. We have the Emperor reversed as well. Ooh, okay. And the 10 of Swords reversed. Wow, this is very clear. Group number 1. So the other path, the other option here is to move away from everything that you've been trying to build. It is to kind of give up almost and say, well, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe it's never going to be ready, or I'm never going to be ready. Maybe people won't accept it, or it won't bring me the stability that I'm looking for or that I need. And I'm feeling disempowered by this, and I'm needing to just kind of take a break and walk away. And in lieu of trying and failing, I'm just going to give up. But in doing so, you're kind of 100% saying that you're going to fail. So it's either you take away the option to succeed and you just 100% fail because you didn't try, or you have a 50-50 chance of succeeding. So it's up to you which one feels more comfortable or which one you feel would serve you best in the long run. But I'm seeing that this other path here, although it will be mentally a little bit less daunting to do or to give up on this task, it's really going to shake your confidence. It's really going to take a lot out of you in the long run, and you might have to kind of recoup your losses for a longer period of time. So it's like, if you don't go through with it, if you don't just kind of bite the bullet and face your fears and do it anyway, then you eventually you kind of have to you have to go through this transition period where you're really struggling with your self-confidence. You're not feeling as though you can do things that you want to do. There may even be financial instability. And energetically and mentally, it just feels like there's an entire loss of your passion. There's like this almost depression or exhaustion type of energy, because the drive that you had to do all of this in the first place was very emotionally based. And if you don't go through with it, then all of that energy it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. And it sort of implodes on itself is what I'm seeing. And that's why maybe you need to take some time to recover almost from this loss, because that's essentially what this is not going through with something that you're passionate about. It is a loss, and you will have to grieve that loss and redirect your energy. And that might take some time, and you might need some help to find a way to do that. There's a lot of vulnerability in this other path, but from a more external perspective, this vulnerability is, I feel vulnerable because I feel like I failed, or I feel like I failed myself, or I failed at creating the stability that I desire. I didn't get to that completion point, and I feel like I have to start again, but I'm not ready yet. So I've got feeling vulnerable and kind of needing to take some time to heal, recover, and then try again. In this option 1, the first path, in this one, I see the vulnerability is here too, but the vulnerability is more so about kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve and just speaking the truth and being vulnerable in that regard. So they're both involved with vulnerability here, but it's dealer's choice. It's what kind of vulnerability feels better for you? Is it the vulnerability of doing something you're passionate about, but you're afraid that people might not understand it or accept it, or that it's not going to support you the way you need financially or physically, and that you have a lot of emotional attachment to it? Or do you want to be vulnerable in the sense that you feel like you failed and you're exhausted and depressed and grieving that failure? Because those are really the two options that I see here for you, group number 1. So I do want to get a charm for each and just get some additional guidance from Spirit on what they think you should do for each path. So these charms are going to be very specific for that. Okay, so that's going to be for 1, the first path, and this is for the second path. So for the first path, we have the bumblebee. We have the You Are My Sunshine charm. And I want to put these like this. And we have the rainbow with the clouds. And this rainbow particularly always reminds me of a bridge, like it's kind of the bridge between worlds, or it's the bridge between you and other people. And it helps to connect things. So I see here that the Four of Coins and the bumblebee, what Spirit is recommending here on path number 1 is to be diligent and hardworking. Focus on what you're creating, or focus on what it is that you've been working on behind the scenes. And the more that you feel like it's ready, and the more that you feel like you can feel confident in what you've created, even if it's not perfect, because it really doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be functional, is what I'm seeing there with the Four of Coins and the bumblebee. It just needs to be functional. And the more that you can feel just even more stable rather than confident. If you don't feel fully confident, that's fine. It's just, is it stable enough that you can finally, make it public, or promote it, or share it, or, submit it, or whatever it is. And then, or speak on it. And then the Three of Cups, we have, you are my sunshine. So I really see that you're going to get support, group number 1. You are in this first path option. There's going to be support. The Three of Cups is celebration, reunion. It's very innocent and fun and carefree. And it's like, yay, let's come together and celebrate something, and with people that you love. So you are my sunshine, and Three of Cups here. Spirit is talking about the fact that this path will have a lot of joy on it. And it will be very satisfying for you at that level, because you'll feel good about yourself. You'll feel like you have something to celebrate, and other people will come around and support you, whether they're friends and family or random strangers on the internet. I don't know what your project happens to be, or whatever it is that you've been working on and keeping behind closed doors. Whatever it is, there's going to be a spotlight on it, which is the sunshine energy, but it's going to be very healing, very nurturing, and it's going to promote a lot of growth, is what Spirit just said. Okay, yeah, so it will promote a lot of growth for you personally at soul level, and also for this project. So it's definitely worth sharing. And the King of Cups with the clouds and the rainbow. I feel like this is the happily ever after moment. That King of Cups is like the emotional stability that you were trying to work toward. And it's through actually expressing your gift, or sharing this project or skill or talent that you have, something that you've worked on for a long time and you've put a lot of effort into. You're going to see a positive outcome from that, and you're going to feel very satisfied, very stable emotionally, and a lot more confident in yourself. So that's another thing that this is actually training you, is what Spirit just said, that you're being trained in how to increase your own sense of emotional well-being, which then creates more stability in your sense of confidence and self-assurance. So that's really what path number 1 is all about. Now, path number 2, we have, what is this? It takes a big heart to teach little minds. Yeah, put that on the 10 of Coins. And we have the bamboo. And I will put that on the Emperor. And then the sort of pastel rainbow, which I'll put on the 10 of Swords. Okay, so let's say that you don't go through with this project, that you just can't muster the confidence, or the timing is off or something, and you just kind of, it loses steam and you're not able to do it. Let's say even more drastically, something else intervenes and there's a situation or a circumstance that prevents you externally from sharing this, or from continuing work on this project, or from really making it more public. I see that you will still experience growth. So even if you have to take this other path where you're not able to follow through with that idea or that goal, I still see that there will be longer term growth, but it will take more time. Like I said, it will take more time, but ultimately you will still get to that. You have rainbows here in the third card of each option here, so of each pathway. So you see, either way, you will find your way to harmony and balance, and that sort of happily ever after beyond the rainbow. But this one feels like a more initially challenging road, but it will be satisfactory in a shorter period of time. This one feels like a longer challenge period, but you will eventually get to a point where you feel like you're able to grow. So there's like a state of dormancy in this second path where it takes a lot longer to get back to place that you were here, but it's not like you go in a circle and you have to get back to square one. You're constantly evolving in different directions, in different upward spirals. So even if this one feels like regression, it's actually not. There's still growth happening here with the bamboo. There's still personal empowerment happening. It's testing your strength and your adaptability for sure, but it's also challenging you to like create more stability for yourself in your mind and in your heart. So it's balancing those two together. So ultimately, either path, whichever happens or whichever you choose, consciously or unconsciously, both of them are productive in the long run for your soul growth. So there's no wrong way to go. There's no wrong path. This is not about what you should or shouldn't do. It is simply showing you that these are the two energetic probabilities or possibilities, actually. Not even probable, they're just possible. And it's up to you to consciously and intentionally choose what you would like to for yourself, and having more information and making an informed decision can be helpful. But what Spirit really wants you to know here with these two pathways is that both of them will lead to harmony and growth. It's just different avenues. One's a little bit more initially uncomfortable, but gratifying. And one is initially a bit of a relief, but longer term, not as gratifying, but ultimately still helps you to grow. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that there's no wrong option. So don't let these, frighten you into thinking there's only these two options and it's do or die. No. These are only the two that we're looking into. There's probably a trillion other options that you could take as well, but these are the two most sort of prevalent. These are the two pathways that are the most dominant in that sense. And you always have free will, and you can always choose differently. You can always change your fate. Your destiny is up to you, group number one. So first of all, never take any tarot reading or any form of divination as true and unquestionable fact. Like, do not do that, okay? Your free will is always number one. This reality is a product of your state of being. The way that you experience the world is a product of your consciousness, of your vibration, and of your choices and actions. So let this be information that you can use to your benefit. That's it, okay? So that's what I have for you, group number one. This reading shows you the two options, and I hope that you can make an informed decision from the heart and the mind in balance to really see whichever growth you feel suits you best. All right? I'm sending you lots of love to help you make this decision for yourself, for your greatest and highest good. May it be so. And if you're looking for more in-depth personal guidance, I do have a solar eclipse reading coming up for the members only. So if you want to have access to that, hit the join button down below to get access to the members only readings. And if you would like a personal reading with me, I am booking into November now. You guys can schedule either intuitive tarot readings with me or psychic soul level readings and healings. Okay, so that's through my website. It's tarotandbeyond.com, which is also linked in the description box. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number two. Welcome to your two paths reading. So we have your first path here that you've chosen, and we're going to look at the second option. There it is. Okay. And then we'll get 3 cards to clarify each side of that path and some charms as well, because that's what we did in group one. So the card you chose is the 6 of Wands. So that's the first path. And then the second card we have here is the World. Okay, both looking very positive. Let's get some additional information into these two paths. So for the 6 of Wands path, let's see. I do see that one as well. And that one. Okay. And then for the World path, and I see that one there. Oh, you got an extra. Okay. So for 6 of Wands, we have the 2 of Coins, the Judgment card. By the way, this is the last Unicorn Oracle, Tarot deck. And we have the 6 of Cups reversed. Okay, so it's interesting that you have the Six of Wands and the Six of Cups sitting right on top of each other on this particular path. Okay. Okay, so what I'm seeing here for this first option is, yeah, it feels like you're finding a way to successfully balance your own power and understanding when to give and when not to give. When is it appropriate to share your resources? When is it appropriate to allocate them to your own needs? And this could be money, it could be energy, it could be time, etc. But I'm seeing that on option number 1 here with the path going whichever direction this is going, there's really kind of like a time of practice that I'm seeing where you're practicing your skills, you're practicing how to find balance, and you are finessing a little bit in trying to find that harmony that's really going to help you to feel like you can succeed. So you might be trying different things, you're kind of making lots of decisions and trying to find what's going to work best for you. So there might be like different treatment options. If you're trying to get healthy, there might be different programs. If you're trying to, like build a website or something, there's different communication styles. If you're working on, interpersonal relationship dynamics. So these types of things, it's like you're looking for different options. You're exploring all of the different available realms of thought and action and kind of seeing how that's going to result. And then I'm seeing that in this first option here, there's a lot of kind of energy that you get from that. You're able to move forward. You're able to progress significantly because you've managed to find a way to work with this energy. Like you get a little bit more balanced as time goes on, and when you were struggling before, where you were not making progress before, now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I know what I need to do, and you go and do it. So there's a lot more sort of focus, like laser focus and direction and intention. I'm seeing a lot of that in option number 1. Now, in option number 2, we have the World card, the 10 of Swords reversed. This came up in option number 2 in group 1 as well, but in a different position. And we have the Ace of Cups, beautiful Ace of Cups. We have the 5 of Cups reversed. Oh, okay. And the 10 of Cups reversed as well. Interesting that you have 2 10s reversed in this second pathway, which is similar to group 1, even though it was different cards, but they had 2 10s reversed as well. So anyway, in this one, I'm seeing you closing out an emotional cycle of dormancy, is what Spirit just said in my ear. That was the phrase, an emotional cycle of dormancy. So what does that actually mean? Well, I think that in this second option, there's a renewal of your hope is what it looks like. Maybe, if you really felt like the world was a harsh place to live, and no matter what you did, it was exhausting and painful, and there was only suffering as a result. I'm seeing that you're going through in this second option a phase of deep emotional, psychological healing, and you're able to renew that sense of hope and innocence, to see the world in a way that it is less harsh, less painful, and less malevolent. I see that in the second option, you really dedicate a lot of your time and focus to self-renewal. And instead of focusing on the more practical matters of how you can get ahead and achieve things, outwardly, you're really focusing on the inward journey to end an old cycle of wounding where you kind of needed to, or you may have in the past, coped by either walling yourself off, not opening your heart, or just focusing on other things in general, kind of keep distracting yourself, maybe working a lot, or doing other things, maybe partying, or maybe not, maybe just kind of staying in and reading books all the time. There's no right or wrong way to cope. It's, is it functional or is it dysfunctional? Yes, we can kind of look at that. But what I'm seeing here is that it's less about what you did in the past. It's more what you're choosing to do now on the second option or the second pathway. And there's closure that I see here happening in a big way. So there's some kind of major breakthrough that allows you to find closure on some pain of the past and kind of right the wrongs of the past in a way, internally, psychologically. It's like maybe going to therapy and having a breakthrough with a therapist that you really connect to and trust, and gives you this insight into your past wounds, into your sorrow, your grief, your pain, your trauma, your wounds from past relationships specifically, and how that relates to your ability to love yourself and your energy stores and ability to express yourself in the world. So these are kind of interrelated in this way, that they both sort of govern that same theme, but one of them is more externally focused and the other is much more internal and psychological, very emotional. But in this one, you get closure and you finally are able to move on. Now, both of these pathways are good options I'm seeing here, whereas in group 1, it was a little different, but for you guys, group 2, both are good options. I really don't think that there's a right or wrong, and I don't think that there is in general, but especially for you in this reading, these both pathways are good options. So it will kind of be up to you to discern what feels most relevant for you right now, or what feels the most pressing. What is the priority, right? Because that's what I'm seeing here is what your priority happens to be at this time. Is your priority to find physical balance and external achievement that will help you to better navigate the way that you give and receive energy, time, money, resources, etc.? Or is the priority right now, do you really need at that core level to find closure at this moment? Because you can always come back and do this later, or you can always come back and do this later. So it's up to you which one feels like a deeper need right now. It's more persistent and it really needs your attention. So that would be kind of the way to choose between these two. And there's always multiple options. These are not the only two. These are just possibilities. And these are just energies that are wanting to be known so that you can make a more informed decision. That's all. Nothing's ever set in stone. It's all your free will, and it's up to you to choose your own path and create your own path through your choices, actions, thoughts, beliefs, frequency, etc. Now, let's get Spirit's take on these two paths as well. So we'll get some charms for each. Okay, there's a few there. And some charms for the second path. All right, so for the first path, we have this interesting little sea creature that I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to put that there on the 2 of coins. We have the I love you charm with the infinity sign. We have a black star, a key, and the cat in the spring. The key really standing out to me here, and the key goes on the 6 of Cups reversed. Okay, so the black star and the cat with the cherry blossoms here. I feel like this is a goal that you've wanted to have for a long time. It's something you want to feel successful. You want to feel like you stand out. You want to feel special is what I'm seeing here. And this really comes from childhood. Because that's what the cat with the cherry blossoms have given me. It's like the spring of your life, your adolescence, your childhood. This was like a deep need or a long-held dream that you have had, of being successful in a particular way, maybe in a line of work or in an endeavor or towards a specific goal. And I see that it does have kind of like a focus on it. Now, it's part of your evolution to find this balance. And a lot of the major sort of decisions that you've had to make were really about finding your own path and choosing for yourself, because I feel like you were met with some resistance. And Spirit is really kind of encouraging you here for path number 1 to follow your unique journey, to really trust that no matter what path you choose, no matter where you end up here, ultimately it's going to be for your highest good, because there's going to be something in it that will unlock other things for the future. So the 6 of Cups here with the key is helping you to unlock something within yourself that was walled off, or that was not necessarily walled off. It was just a little imbalanced. That's all. It was like too much of this, not enough of that. And you are finally kind of able to find more balance here, more harmony, more flow. Yeah, a lot more flow in this one, with success and progression in your material endeavors, specifically material endeavors being successful here. And it does teach you a lot about yourself and individuality and authenticity, and kind of how you want to show up in the world and what you need and what you're good at. And then in this other option, we have instead of the cat in the spring, we have the cat in the fall. Okay, and we have measuring tape. I just heard getting the lay of the land with the measuring tape. We have another star here. Yeah, see, these two paths are not so dissimilar. They're quite similar. I can't pick that up. I'll just leave it there. And then we have a butterfly, and it's interesting because we have the butterfly on the world card here. So this feels like a spiritual transformation. And it's through this emotional deep dive into this pain, or into this belief system, or into these experiences. And by measuring them, by kind of getting the lay of the land. And I think, again, working with somebody who's good at this type of thing, or, providing structure for you in this way and helping you to measure it more objectively would be helpful. So, a counselor, a coach, a therapist, something like that, to help you to see where things were maybe not measuring up in the way that you thought that they were. It's kind of like showing you the actual dimensions of something rather than the idea that you had about that. And by understanding the actual dimensions of it, you're like, oh, it's not as big as I thought it was. I can handle it. Or, oh, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was. I need to kind of parcel it out. So I'm seeing that in option 2, or the second pathway here, there's a lot of internal transformation, and there's a lot of deep diving. There's a lot of deep diving into yourself. Now, they did just say that these two paths are not mutually exclusive, meaning that you don't have to necessarily choose one over the other, which could be the case in other circumstances. But for you, group 2, these two paths may actually run parallel and be simultaneous. So you may be doing this path and this path at the same time. And this path may be supporting this path, and vice versa. So I really see both of these options here for you being very good and mutually supportive, because you are gaining a lot of self-awareness, both in the internal realm and in the external, how you apply what you're learning inside to what you do outside. That's really what I see here for you, group 2. And what a beautiful reading. I'm so happy that I got this inspiration and decided to sit down and do this reading today. So I hope this helped you to see these two potential options and give yourself a little bit more insight or information into the process or the choices therein. So I'm sending you so much love and many blessings to help support you in both of these paths for your greatest and highest good. May so it be. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 3. Welcome to your 2 paths reading. So you guys chose this particular card. We're going to find out what that is in a second. I'm going to get the second card for the second path. No. Second card there. That. Okay, so the first path you guys chose here is the 9 of Coins. Wow, beautiful. Abundance and self-sufficiency and contentment, luxury, peace. The second path you have is Judgment. Interesting. Okay. So let's get some clarifiers. We're going to do 3 cards for each to see a little bit more detail into these paths. Oh, they said those are the 3 there for option 1. And then got 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. And then we'll get some charms as well for additional information. Now, keep in mind that these are just potentials. These are not necessarily set in stone, as nothing is. Really, it's all malleable, changeable, and dependent on your vibration, your intention, action, and free will. There we go. Centered things a bit better. Okay, so path number 1 for you, group 3, we have the Knight of, what is this? Knight of Wands reversed. Knight of Wands. The Empress, and the Hierophant. Yes, the Hierophant. So on this first path, what I'm seeing, group number 3, is that it's very grounded. Like, it's so stable. It's very sort of home oriented is what I'm feeling. There's like almost no impulsivity. It's very slow and determined, and it just feels like you have a real kind of sense of I wouldn't necessarily say passivity, but a little bit of passivity. Like, it's not like you're completely devoid of any intention or action. You're still being intentional and actionable with what you're doing on a daily basis, but you're not necessarily striving and really going to 100 miles an hour. Like in path 1 here, you're just taking things really nice and slow and steady, and you're doing things with this grace of intention that infuses everything that you do with this very peaceful energy. It's like you're not rushing through your day. You're just really paying attention and being mindful. That's what it is. It's mindfulness. I was trying to put my finger on it. Yeah, you're mindful in this first path. And that actually really helps you to experience more joy and contentment in your life, because you really feel the sensations and you really connect to your environment in a hugely different way. The sensory experience of this path is pronounced. That's what I can feel from it. And, instead of rushing around and kind of bumping up against the world and not really feeling anything because you're racing a million miles a minute, you are, by slowing down, actually able to experience life in greater depth and detail, which is really cool. Now, I feel like this first path is going to provide for you a lot of healing. So there's going to be, as a result of this mindfulness and this slowing down and this methodical approach to life at a very grounded, nurturing, sustainable level, I feel like there's a lot of physical level healing that you're doing, or possibly that you're focusing on. Maybe recovering your energy by slowing down. Maybe actually healing a physical wound. They just showed me the 2 eye patches on these characters. Like, the cat has an eye patch and this man has an eye patch. I'll turn it around so you can see it better. So it's kind of like, maybe you have, I just heard macular degeneration. Maybe there's something wrong with eyes, like retina, or, your cornea. I don't know much about the eyes, but maybe there's like blindness happening, and by slowing down, it's like you're engaging your other senses and you're able to connect to the world in a different way and to see/feel it more intensely. Now, that's a very specific message, and it doesn't have to be literal, but I'm really seeing here that there's a focus on nutrition. There's a focus on like slowing down and not burning yourself out energetically, physically. There's an emphasis on the home and your routines is what I'm seeing. And that really helps you to create more structure in your daily life. And as a result, have a lot more healing and stability and that sense of peace and contentment. Now, in option number 2, or the second pathway, we have the Judgment card and the Death card in reverse. Okay. The 8 of Cups And the 8 of coins, 2 8s back to back. Okay. In this second pathway, I see that you kind of push yourself to the limit and you go through this period of toxicity. So if we're talking about physical healing here, group number 3, which is what I'm really picking up from both of these pathways, it's really about physical healing. I see that in option number 2, or in the second pathway, there's sort of like a pushing off of time, like you haven't really been slowing down like you did in option 1, and as a result you're pushing yourself a little bit too hard, and that can become toxic. And they did just give me the word degeneration again. So if there is any kind of physical or cellular or macular degeneration, whatever that means, then it's really about slowing down, because that's going to support the healing process. But I'm seeing in this second pathway here that it's hard for you to slow down, and you don't really take the time to do that. And as a result, this toxicity builds up and it kind of leaves you laid out, like in the Judgment card, she's laying out in the forest, completely just like spent, So it feels as though it's not the best option for you, because it kind of leaves you in a position of being vulnerable and feeling completely spent. It's the opposite of this other energy. Now, that the pros of this side are that it will lead you into the realization that you can't continue in that vein anymore, right? So it's kind of like a healing crisis where you're faced with a kind of a do or die situation. It doesn't have to be literal, of course. It's just kind of like, okay, I can't go on this way. I need to make some changes. And so it does force you to kind of face what you've been avoiding facing and looking at what you've been avoiding looking at. And then as a result, you're kind of choosing to walk away from things that were taking your energy, or that were toxic, or maybe even just like routines and things that you were doing on a daily basis that were not healthy or supporting your healing. And then as a result, you really learn to buckle down and look for answers. You really learn to study, maybe you're reading up, or you're doing research on the internet around the type of thing that you're experiencing, looking at symptoms and stuff like that. Hopefully not like getting all, hypochondriac about it, just really sort of analytically looking at, what can I do? What are some treatment options? Or what do I need to be eating? Or what should I do to support myself, practically speaking? So I feel like even if the second option is the course that ends up happening, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's not like the be all end all. It's really just kind of redirecting you in a more forceful way into realizing that you need to take some action to help yourself to heal and to better, choose things on a daily basis or in your daily life that are going to be more supportive of your overall well-being, and specifically, since this reading really focusing on physical health, on your body and your well-being. Okay, let's get some charms for each one as well. So for option 1, or path 1, no, keep going. There, I said those. Oh, you got 2 jars. And for option 2, yep. Okay, so you guys have these 2 jars with shells, one white shell and one sort of like darker shell. And we have another, what is this, pearl shell? Yeah, pink one with a pearl. And we have the green moon. And I want to put that here on the Hierophant. Okay, so What Spirit's talking about here with your charms is that there's like some healing elixirs that you're looking into. If you can see here in the Empress, she's cooking in the kitchen. She's got her vegetables and warm fire behind her. So it's very comforting, very homey. And she's working with like raw materials is what they just said. That's the phrase they gave me, raw materials. And that's what I'm seeing here is like you're doing some healing work with some raw materials, and you're looking at like different concoctions and like potions almost, it feels very like kitchen witchery, you know what I mean? Like kitchen witches are like a branch of witchcraft where it's very much about infusing your intention into your food or into, like herb mixes and like potions and things like that. Very cool, but very like grounded, very earthy types of white magic where you're really using intention and routine and sort of like a recipe to create something that's very healing and or produces a specific result. Now I'm also seeing with the green moon here, again, a lot of growth and healing. Green speaks to me of the energy of healing. It's like the dominant energy of the earth and nature. It's also the green ray of the heart chakra, which has to do with healing of the physical body and of, self regeneration. So in this first pathway, I see a lot of healing and self kind of looking for options and the right mixture to create something that's going to be very valuable for you. Now, the Nine of Pentacles, like I said, it's like luxury, wealth, contentment. It's being able to slow down because you have all of your needs met. And I see that value really coming through for you. So if you're worried about how am I going to afford this or something like that, in this first option, I see that the more that you start incrementally focusing on your health, the more payoff that has, both physically and also financially in some way. Maybe you're able to work more, or you're able to you just like attract more money because you're in that receptive, very slow, feminine energy state, feminine polarity being just about reception and healing and slowing down and really feeling and being mindful. So yeah, in option number 1, in this first pathway, lots of healing, lots of value, and you're really kind of finding the right mixture, making that right mixture for yourself. Now, in the second pathway, we have the cat with the trees, a butterfly, yellow butterfly, and pastel unicorn. Okay. So I feel like in this second pathway, it's through observation of your symptoms or observations of things in your life that feel imbalanced or off or toxic or broken in some way that you're able to remedy them. You're able to find a solution and to go in search of something. It's like you go on a quest in this second pathway where you're really looking and looking and looking for something that's going to help to resolve or help you to heal whatever these symptoms are that you're experiencing, whether they're physical symptoms or kind of just like symptoms or patterns in your life. And the unicorn here on the 8 of coins feels very much like a beginner's mindset. Like you really start from scratch here in the second pathway where you really hit a brick wall and there's nowhere to go from there. And so you have to reframe your approach. You have to go from thinking that you know everything to really being open-minded and curious about potential options or unknown things, or exploring realms of thought that maybe you wouldn't have considered. Like, let's say, for example, this is just an example, but let's say, for example, you get diagnosed with a certain condition or disease or disorder or something like that. And then you go through the conventional, treatment pathways and none of them work, and maybe they even make it worse, and you're like, well, what the heck is going on? And you try to just kind of push through and keep doing what you're being prescribed or recommended, and it's not working. And so you go and you look for these alternative methods, even though that's really not within your frame of reference, and you maybe didn't believe in that in the past, and now you have to kind of incorporate some alternative methods into your frame of reference as potential treatment alternatives and or supplements to the healing. Or the opposite could be true too, right? Where you're used to alternative healing methods, using herbs or meditation or sound healing or something, and then you realize, oh, I really actually need some surgery, or I need some medication or something. And it's kind of like combining these two together and not having one be greater or more highly thought of than the other. I just see this kind of like open-minded, student mindset where you're just willing to learn, and it's very sort of objective, and you're not really attached to any one school of thought. You're just looking for answers. And if one area and this area are opposing, but they have kind of similar answers and you can combine those, then great. So it's really, this gives you the opportunity to see beyond what you previously kind of held in your mind, and push past some of those cognitive biases that may have been contributing to or even causing some of this imbalance. And so you really get clear on what you need to do, and then you're able to start practicing it. I also just heard teaching as well. It's almost like you go through all of this rigmarole so that you step into the role of the student, and then you're able later, once you've kind of integrated all of these opposing beliefs or information, different studies, then you're able to teach other people, because you've kind of integrated some stuff that was completely separate, and you've made a treatment plan for yourself that actually is a lot different than the norm. It's like, it's a lot different than what everybody else is doing, but it's because you found your own way. And I think that there's a lot of benefit in that as well. So they're both interesting options. These are by no means the only two pathways or the only two potentials that are available to you. This is just a tarot reading, and it is general. Now keep in mind, like I said, everything is free will based, and it's based on your current choices, actions, frequency, thoughts, beliefs, etc. So you want to take all of that into account and make sure that you know that you are empowered as a creator to not only choose your reality, but to create it as you go along. So there's no wrong way to do it. You're never stuck in one particular timeline or pathway. You can always turn around and do something different, or continue and learn whatever you are learning from that pathway, or integrate two pathways together. There's no limits to this. So explore what feels right for you and use your intuition to guide you along these paths, or a particular path that feels right for you. So I'm sending you so much love, group number 3. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this reading helped give you a little bit more insight, or maybe some confirmation or something like that, that can help you to discern and to make the decisions that are right for you, for your greatest and highest good. May so it be. So that is what I have for you. Thank you for being here. If you guys are looking for more one-on-one insight, you can become a member here on the channel by hitting the join button, checking out the members only readings, and getting the live stream one-on-one interaction time with me. And if you want more than that, to really go deep into you and your healing process or your needs, I am currently offering one-on-one sessions via Zoom, so you can book through my website, which is linked in the description box below or pinned in the comments. So thank you guys again. I love you. We'll see you in the next reading.